Are you trying to get rid of that stubborn lower belly fat? It is a common challenge for almost everyone. Whether you're a regular gym goer or a professional bodybuilder, shedding that last bit of stubborn fat can be particularly tough. Now, you likely know that to address this, you need to maintain a calorie deficit, avoid processed, refined, and high-sugar foods, and consistently exercise to build up your lower abs under the fat. However, there are many key concepts about lower belly fat that you might not realize, which can set unrealistic expectations and prevent you from achieving that flat midsection you're after. Today, I want to go over the top 7 things that nobody is telling you about lower belly fat, and the last point may surprise you. Let's get into it. Firstly, we need to address the unrealistic expectation that a perfect six-pack should always look flawless and chiseled, no matter what you eat or how relaxed your abs are. Many people think a perfect six-pack stays defined in every situation, but this is simply not true. Our bodies are designed to be flexible and functional, not rigid all the time. The skin and tissues around your abdomen need to stretch and fold to allow for movement and changes in your body position. When you sit down, your abdominal muscles relax and your skin naturally forms creases. This is completely normal and healthy. Even professional bodybuilders and fitness models who often have very impressive six-packs do not maintain that look all the time. In fact, when they become leaner and lose fat around their lower stomach, they can develop more folds and creases. This effect is even more noticeable if they've lost a lot of body fat, as they might have some extra skin around their lower abs. So remember that even fitness models do not have a perfect set of abs at all times. After a big meal, their stomachs will bulge out, and when they sit down, they will have folds, creases, and rolls just like anyone else. When they relax their abs, they don't look as impressive as in photos. Bodybuilders and models often use specific poses, lighting, and sometimes even dehydration techniques to create that perfect appearance. In everyday life, their abs experience the same natural folds and fluctuations as anyone else's. Real quick, if you're enjoying the video, please like and subscribe to support the channel. Number 2, a key reason why getting rid of lower belly fat is so difficult is due to the presence of 2 types of receptors in fat cells, called alpha and beta receptors. These receptors function like tiny switches that instruct fat cells either to store fat or to burn it. Beta receptors are the ones that assist in breaking down fat. When hormones such as adrenaline bind to beta receptors, they trigger the fat cells to release stored fat into the bloodstream, where it can then be utilized as energy. These beta receptors are more prevalent in areas where fat is easier to lose, like the arms, legs, and face. Conversely, alpha receptors have the opposite effect. They signal the fat cells to retain their fat stores. When hormones bind to alpha receptors, they instruct the fat cells to keep their fat, making it much harder to lose fat in those regions. Unfortunately, the lower belly contains a higher concentration of alpha receptors compared to beta receptors. This imbalance means that even when you're actively trying to burn fat by maintaining a calorie deficit, the alpha receptors in your lower belly create a significant obstacle, making it tougher for the fat in that area to be broken down. This resistance to fat loss in the lower belly is a challenge that is largely out of your control, driven by your body's fat cell receptors. Coming up soon, you will find out how blood flow can affect fat loss. But first, let's talk about something you can control that may be stopping you from losing that stubborn lower belly fat: metabolic adaptation. This is also called adaptive thermogenesis. It's a process where your body changes how much energy it uses based on changes in your diet and activity levels. Even if you're following your diet perfectly, when you eat fewer calories than your body needs, your metabolism slows down. This is your body's way of conserving energy and avoiding what it thinks might be starvation. This slowdown can make it harder to keep losing fat over time. Lower belly fat is one of the last areas your body chooses to burn fat from, so metabolic adaptation plays a big role. The calorie deficit you need to start losing fat is not the same as the one you need to lose that last bit of belly fat. As you lose weight, your body requires less energy to maintain a smaller size, so you need to keep adjusting your calorie and nutrient intake. If you stop losing fat for 2 weeks or more, try reducing your calorie intake by 200 to 300 calories per day, then check your progress after 1 to 2 weeks. To overcome these plateaus, you can also add low-intensity activities like walking to burn more calories and keep losing fat. Number 4, the lower belly area typically has less blood flow and contains larger fat cells compared to other parts of the body. Blood flow is crucial for fat loss because it enables fat-burning hormones to reach fat cells, prompting them to release stored fat. This fat is then transported to places like the liver, where it is processed for energy. Due to the reduced blood flow in the lower belly, fewer fat-burning hormones can access these fat cells, making it more difficult to lose fat in this region. Additionally, the fat cells in the lower belly are generally larger and more resistant to breakdown, which adds another layer of challenge when trying to reduce fat in that area. As a result, losing fat from the lower belly is often more challenging compared to other parts of the body. Coming up, do fat loss supplements actually work? But first, let's discuss how genetics affect two things: where your body stores fat and the shape of your lower abdominal muscles. Genetics play a big role in determining where your body stores fat, like on your belly, thighs, hips, arms, or face. For example, genetics might cause you to store more fat in your lower belly. Women often store more fat around their hips and lower body, while men tend to accumulate fat around their waist, including their lower belly, creating an apple-shaped body. This pattern varies from person to person and is beyond your control. Genetics also influence your muscle structure. Some people, even after losing a lot of lower belly fat, don't have the perfect V-shaped abs because the shape and attachment points of their abdominal muscles are determined by genetics. This explains why two people with the same body fat percentage can have different looking abs. Therefore, it's important to compare your progress over time to yourself, not to others. Let's move on to supplements and the false claims supplement companies often make about their fat burners. These fat burners usually fall into a few categories. Thermogenics, which are stimulants that claim to increase your metabolism to help burn more calories. Fat blockers, which supposedly stop your body from absorbing fat from food. Appetite suppressants, which are meant to reduce hunger so you eat less. And carb blockers, which aim to prevent your body from digesting and absorbing carbohydrates. However, none of these will specifically target belly fat. Your genetics determine where you store and lose fat, and you can't control that. Also, losing fat in a specific area, like your belly, is a myth. Fat loss happens all over your body based on your overall calorie deficit and genetic factors. While some fat burners might help you burn more calories or reduce your appetite, there's no supplement that will help you lose belly fat specifically. And lastly, most people don't realize that their posture, even when standing, can affect how their lower belly fat looks. For instance, if you tend to slouch a lot, it can push your midsection together, making your lower belly appear bigger than it really is. Another common issue is an anterior pelvic tilt, which happens when your pelvis tilts forward. This is often caused by sitting too much, leading to weak glutes and tight hip flexors. Not only can this cause lower back problems, but it also makes your lower belly stick out more. To improve how your lower belly looks, you can strengthen your hips and upper back, sit less, and practice better posture. This won't burn fat, but it will help make your belly appear flatter. Many people don't realize that bad posture can make their belly fat look worse than it actually is. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next